Well, hello everyone, it's me, it's Hawk, and welcome back to another video. I am going to be talking about some of my spiritual and witchy beliefs, as well as some witchcraft tips. For those who are interested in witchcraft, I do have some tips for you, especially near the end of this video. But, this will be in no particular order, and don't take my beliefs as gospel. I have my own beliefs. I'm entitled to mine, you're entitled to yours. And we should be able to learn and grow off each other as long as we're respectful and not trying to, be dogmatic, as long as we're just genuinely interested or the person who's commenting is genuinely interested in learning about your beliefs. Just don't proselytize, please. Don't try to convert people, but as long as you're respectful and not dogmatic, that's all I ask. But I just want to have an open dialogue about beliefs and witchcraft tips for those who are interested. Again, this is a non-comprehensive list, and yes, this is scripted, so if you see me looking down and not at the camera, it's not just because I'm autistic and don't like eye contact, it's also because I need to stay on track because my autistic and ADHD brain tends to ramble. So I kind of have this semi-scripted. So let's get into this video. So number one, this is a belief of mine that there are past lives and that reincarnation does exist. Ever since I was very little, and this might sound made up, but it's not, but ever since I was very little, I've experienced this reoccurring dream where I follow what I now believe to be a kind of personified version of death, or some sort of psychopomp, or some sort of chthonic deity. I'm not sure what this entity is, but this entity that looks like this queen, this regal red dress. She's kind of going to and fro in this hilly field area, and I come across her and I go up to her and she tells me to go crown first into this hole in the ground, and I kind of get sucked through this hole, and it's I black out when I come to, and this is where my belief comes in. I go to what looks like this endless expanding hall, this just hall that keeps winding on and on and on, and in it is a bunch of people, and I'm like, where am I? And I've had this dream since I was 5. And mind you, I did not grow up in a place where reincarnation was a popular belief, so I didn't really have much exposure. But when I asked where I was in the dream, I was told that I was in the Hall of Past Lives. And I'm like, past lives? Like my past lives? Other people's past lives? There's past lives? And they're like, whatever. The voice that I was hearing in the dream was like, this is the past lives of yourself and others. Just people in general. Some of yours, some of others, people, some people you know, some people you don't, yada yada yada. It's just an expanse where people's past lives are, and it's kind of like a wax museum, if I could describe it in any way. You get to interact with these people in some of their finest moments, or maybe one of their last moments, I'm not sure, but they seem to be reenacting a moment from their lives when they were living, but they are not living. This is just you get to interact with some aspects of people, and that's what leads me to believe that there is such a thing as past lives and reincarnation, because I've had this dream reoccurring since I was 5. Like I said earlier, I was raised in a household that did not believe in reincarnation. I wasn't really exposed to reincarnation or beliefs regarding that, so how a 5-year-old me came across those beliefs on their own is a whole nother topic. And that's what leads me to believe there is such a thing, because I'm like, hey, I was raised in a Christian household, so I wasn't really indoctrinated with the belief of reincarnation, but I stumbled across it on my own, and it repeatedly kept happening. This dream, I'd get to explore more of this endless expanse of this. I call it the Hall of Past Lives, but I got to explore it a bit, and it was fairly interesting. It would be interesting to see if anyone else has any similar type of dream, a similar reoccurring dream where they're interacting with past lives. But my first belief spiritually is that there are past lives. Another belief I have is that there are many gods, or at least core ideas expressed by different names and faces by emanation of a core idea. So for instance, you have gods and goddesses of wisdom throughout most cultures. Monotheistic is a little different because it's that one god is the god of all of these things, but polytheistically speaking, there's generally a god or goddess of this wisdom, be it just wisdom or just other aspects of other things. There are ideas like that, or war or love, or thunder or things like that. Like even like early on in history, like archaeologically speaking, many cultures even saw deities like Yahweh, like the Christian Yahweh, as Judeo-Christian Yahweh, as a storm god early on. Like that's how other cultures saw him, similar to Baal, but not quite. More like catastrophic floods. But my point is, many cultures have ideas of gods and goddesses of different types. There are these kind of core ideas and themes shared by virtually every society, at least like most indigenous and just general societies and cultures have a concept at some point in time, usually far back, of, you know, different gods and goddesses of these core ideas that seem to span across all human cultures. So that's what leads me to believe that at the very least there are many faces for one idea, or something like that, but there are multiple gods and goddesses. Just different faces will show themselves, or different aspects of that idea will show themselves to you depending on your background, your culture, what you are most open to receive, or things like that. That's what I believe. Like, there are multiple gods and goddesses. It's just generally emanations of these core ideas. It's hard to explain, but that's what I believe. So yes, I do believe in the concept of multiple deities. I guess this next thing is a belief and a tip that magic works and exists, but often takes the path of least resistance. Hence why things like petition papers and having our intention very clear on how you want things to happen, because you could ask for more money, for instance, but you don't know how you're going to get that money. Like, what might be the path of least resistance for you could be someone dying and like writing your name in their will, and like, let's hope that doesn't happen, but that could be a path of least resistance. So you might want to specify how you get that money, be like from a job, a side gig, something you're interested in, things like that. But not only that do I believe that, but I think that mundane action or non-magical action should be usually taken if and when possible to increase the likelihood of manifesting that desired outcome. Now, the other thing is to consider with these things is that, like, things don't always manifest in the way that you are particularly seeking out. Often they will manifest themselves in ways that are adjacent or, technically speaking, falling into the terms that you were looking for, but they're not quite what you were looking for. So just keep your eyes and ears and mind open. Be open to other possibilities and ways of things happening, as long as they're not negatively like impacting you and others' lives. Like, just be open to the fact that what you might have initially wanted may not be able to manifest in that exact explicit way, but it can manifest in what is technically that way, but not in the way that you were hoping. So if that makes any sense, just be specific with your intentions. Maybe write a petition paper, things like that, when you are doing a magical working, and also do mundane action if and when possible to help increase the likelihood of that thing manifesting, especially in the intended way. The next thing is a belief that I believe that crystals do have energies that are healing. Now, I don't think you should replace modern medicine with them, but I do think they can be used in tandem with modern medicine. I've experienced crystal energies even when I didn't believe in them or wasn't even receptive to them, like during times that I did not believe that crystal healing was a thing. At the time when I first encountered crystal energies, I thought that people who believed in this stuff were kind of out of their mind, to put it nicely, and I wasn't open to experiencing it. And yet, when I went to a crystal store, because I collected rocks as I thought of it at the time, I picked up this exact crystal, this Tansberry or strawberry quartz as they called it, and I felt like a child on Christmas morning inexplicably, and it was the strangest feeling. And especially because I was deeply depressed at the time, and I went to my sister's place, and she picked this up, because I told her, hey, pick this up, tell me what you think. And she's like, why do I feel really happy and elated all of a sudden? Maybe this is a crystal property. Have you ever tried looking into that? And I'm like, no, and I look it up, and this is known as a stone of happiness and joy. So I'm like, huh. So maybe people aren't crazy when they say that they experience crystal energies, because I experienced it, my sister experienced it, enough other people experienced it to have this crystal gain that sort of reputation. So that's what leads me to believe there is something to crystal healing. No, I don't think you should replace modern medicine with it, but I think it could be useful alongside modern medicine. I've also been told stories from people who like weren't believers before of like, hey, like when I was getting like heart like heart machines that was interrupting their heart pacemaker, I think it was. Very interesting. I mean, I'm sure some magnetic ones could probably do that, but yeah, it's very interesting to see how like crystals can impact people, and people can impact crystal power mechanisms. Like my great grandmother, whenever she'd wear a specifically quartz powered watch, it would stop working. Didn't matter the age, didn't matter the condition, didn't matter the brand. If it was a quartz powered watch and she wore it, it would stop working. Non-quartz powered watches worked just fine, but quartz powered ones didn't. No matter the maker, no matter the quality, no matter the condition, it just wouldn't work on her. So that's what leads me to believe that, hey, if humans of some subsets of humans can impact crystal powered mechanisms to such a degree that it stops working, perhaps us humans could be impacted by crystals, or at least some subsets of the population could be more likely to be impacted by crystals, especially in the raw or unpolished state where you could absorb some of the trace minerals transdermally. But yes, that's a belief of mine, that crystals do have healing energies and things of that nature. And now I'm going to get into some of the tips for witchcraft, so if anyone's interested in that, please keep watching, and thank you for staying along with me. But tip 2 is that I like to utilize sympathetic magic to amplify my desires. Say if Amanita muscaria or fly agaric mushrooms will amplify my intuition. They have the ability to do that energetically. I've experienced it. I will utilize a topical oil or salve before divination to enhance my intuitive abilities and psychic abilities. I typically use, not sponsored by the way, I'm not that big or famous, but I use these products by Belladonna's Botanicals. I'm not sure if they still have these in stock or if they discontinued these products, but I think they might have the Go Ask Alice flying ointment. Just be aware that this does have European mandrake, so if you're sensitive to anticholinergics, maybe don't do this one, but this does have Amanita muscaria high up there on the ingredient list. In fact, it is olive oil, beeswax, and then Amanita muscaria, so it's like third product in the ingredient list, so it's probably pretty high up there in there, and I find that it does enhance my intuitive abilities. I just kind of rub my hands in the area that I want to utilize and I apply it, the oil or the salve, on the areas, and I find that it does actually enhance my intuition. Or like if you say that an herb, or you associate an herb personally with like luck, you could use it in a luck spell. I think that's very useful because, you know, if this has that association with it that I can do these things, or you associate it with those things, because personal correspondences are important and very much powerful when it comes to workings, like what your intuition feels or what you personally feel. Utilizing that sympathetically in magic, allowing that energy to aid in your working sympathetically, is a very useful thing to do within magic. Another thing, my second or third tip technically, because my second tip was with the magic and path of least resistance, or first tip I should say, but third tip would be that when you're cleansing energetically, say with smoke, like incense smoke, you're burning incense, tidy up and declutter a little, and in the mundane sense, and have a window open while you do this, while you smoke cleanse and while you are tidying up. And afterwards, after you've cleansed the area physically, like cleaning up, picking up things, throwing out the trashes in your room, throwing out things that are like litter on the floor, things like that, like picking those up, throwing those out, cleaning things while the incense smoke is going, while the window is open, you will find that the energy just is a lot lighter. You'll feel so much more freed up and less tied down energetically, just less heavy. And like, I find that is the best way to cleanse, even if it's just your altar. Like, cleaning and cleansing and maintaining its this energy physically in addition to energetically is important, which I do need to do that, by the way, clean my altar, but that's a whole nother topic. And tip number 4 is a very important tip for those of us who like to use candles and oils and things of that nature, anything using fire. Keep fire safety in mind when utilizing the fire element. Always open a window to ventilate the area if things get smoky, and they will get smoky because once the flame goes out or once certain things burn, there will be smoke. There will be a smell. Sometimes it could smell like certain things you don't want it to smell like, so when it gets because it'll get smoky, keep a window open and keep wick trimmers, candle snuffers, and things that can put out bigger fires if necessary, like salt. The reason I say salt is because if you use oil on a candle and you light it up, you could have a grease fire on your hands, and you don't want to put that out with water. That'll create a bigger issue when you try to put it out with water. So I advise having something like salt on hand to put over it, like a big thing of salt, just to, yes, you'll be wasting salt, but you won't have a hazardous fire on your hands if things go awry. So those are my tips. So if I would like to kind of summarize what my feelings are and my beliefs and my tips is, past lives exist, reincarnation exists, there are many gods, or at least different ideas that are spanned across most cultures that should have different faces, essentially for different ideas depending on the culture and what you most connect with. Magic work can exist and takes the path of least resistance, so mundane work should usually be taken, if possible, to increase the likelihood of manifesting one's desires in their intent, in the way that they intend, or for the intended outcome. Belief, crystals have healing and metaphysical energies. Don't replace modern medicine with it, but use it alongside it, and it could be very nice. I've experienced it even when I wasn't believing in it or receptive to believing in it. So that's that. And just use sympathetic magic in your workings. It'll help you a lot. When you clean and cleanse energetically or spiritually, also do it physically and keep a window open. You'll be surprised at how efficient and powerful that cleansing is, and always put up protections afterwards, of course. And of course, keep fire safety in mind whenever you're utilizing the element of fire. Have things on hand to control the situation should it go awry. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this rambly video. Stay magical. Thank you for enjoying. This is Hawk signing out. Thank you for coming along with me on this part of my journey. Thank you.